Good morning and welcome to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson Madison County Schools. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information for JMCSS, and today our guest is the president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, Dr. JacQuene Rainey. Dr. Rainey, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Let me go ahead and get this disclaimer out here. We were classmates in Leadership Jackson, class of 2025.
Yes.
Team Dragons.
Team Dragons.
Not saying we're the best team, but we were a good team. Team Dragons.
Absolutely.
Hey, Dr. Rainey, I'm going to start this conversation off the way I start this conversation anytime I'm sitting down with an educator.
Okay.
Did you always know, Dr. Rainey, that you wanted to work in education?
No, I did not.
Really?
And it's so funny because my career sectors have, been from one extreme to the next. Mm-hmm. So I always knew that I wanted a career where I was helping people. And so back then, you automatically thought that meant healthcare. So I was going to major in nursing. Mm-hmm. And so when I enrolled, after I graduated from high school and I enrolled in Jackson State Community College and I started taking courses, I realized very quickly that healthcare may not have been the path that I want to be on. Okay. So I changed my majors, a few times because I was trying to figure out what really fit. And so I ended up taking a break from post-secondary education until I could figure it out. Yeah. So that's what began my path of working in factories, in manufacturing facilities. And so I was able to work my way up, go back to school to get my undergrad at Union University and continue on in finance, payroll, accounting. But I still wanted to do something where I was helping people. You got to either love it, accounting, or you don't. There wasn't a lot of interaction with the manufacturing population. I wanted to feel like I was helping and, making a difference. And so back in 2008, 2009, when the economy had taken a downturn, there was an opportunity for me to leave manufacturing. Now, at the time, I didn't know what I was going into. It just so happened that one of my church members, who was over the mission ministry, happened to be the assistant director at TCAT Whiteville at the time. And so we were actually talking about me volunteering to work at RIFA. And I explained to her, hey, well, I can probably work the entire week. And she was like, oh, well, are you not working right now? And I was like, no, I'm not. She said, we have a position that just opened up. You may want to apply for that. So I met, interviewed, and it was for the Student Services Coordinator position at TCAT Whiteville. And I can honestly say the rest is history. Education, there is no greater career path where you can honestly feel like you're helping people. And so that's what began my career path into education.
Dr. JacQuene Rainey, president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, is our guest this morning. A lot of takeaways from that. Number one, I'm reminded that success doesn't look the same for everyone. And it sounds like at some point you really had to bet on yourself or invest in yourself. I know looking back on it, it may seem easy, but how tough was it knowing that your passion was helping people? I know you had to invest in yourself. You mentioned going back to school. How tough was that, or did it come easy for you?
No, it was really tough because I was a single parent. I was a teenage mother. I knew that I wanted a better life for my son. And I knew that the only way that I could provide better opportunities for him was to, one, continue my education, and two, go to work. And so I started working when I was 16. And working in manufacturing, and I do have a passion for it because it helped me to be able to provide a better living for myself and my son. It was not always easy, and especially when I transitioned from working on the manufacturing floor to my first office position. I had high expectations, of my salary, and when things didn't go the way that I wanted them to, or I wasn't making the money that I thought I should be making, I had to, get a reality check, and I had a mentor at the time that shared with me, you may not feel that it's fair, you're not making the money that you want to make, but you're gaining knowledge. Because at the time I was learning a lot of different jobs that was part of, my position. And I thought that warranted a bigger salary. And so once I understood that when you invest in yourself, in your knowledge, that's something that goes with you no matter where you go. And I started soaking up as much as I could learn. When I was asked to take on an extra responsibility, I did it. My perspective had to change. My attitude had to change. And so when that doors started opening, I started getting promotions that I didn't ask for. And so that is something that, I have learned over the years, and it has helped me in each position that I've been able to go into, is always be that team player, always go that extra mile, because it's gonna reward you'll be rewarded in the end.
Dr. JacQuene Rainey, president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, is our guest. Dr. Rainey, I mentioned we went through Leadership Jackson together. Of course, I've read about you in the headlines. I knew a little bit about you just, from far off, but learning you're from Jackson, that's pretty cool. Not only are you from Jackson, but you are a JCM graduate.
Yes.
And so I think for fellow Jackson Madison County School System graduates and people who are from this area, we can look at you with pride to say, hey, she's from Jackson, Dr. Rainey, talking about your position as president with TCAT Jackson, how does your journey through manufacturing, community college, just the grind of education and work, how does that impact the way you approach your students at TCAT Jackson? Because I would imagine these are students from varied backgrounds and ages.
Yes. So, of course, our students, they range in age from 17 to 60 plus, and different, demographics, backgrounds, non-traditional students, underrepresented students. And so my journey, because I have such a passion for what we do, our mission is to be the premier providers of workforce development and being there for our communities and providing those training opportunities. And so for me, I'm invested in what we do and the training that we provide for our students that's going to help them to get jobs. And I'm also a proponent of, continuing your education. Once you've graduated from TCAT Jackson, if you want to continue your education at the community college or four-year university, the sky's the limit. We're partnering with our community colleges and other four-year institutions, articulation agreements, so that we can create pathways for those students to go on to continue their education. So I'm always going to promote what we do. I know the benefits of working in manufacturing. I know the jobs that are there that really going to help students to be those productive citizens and be able to provide for their families.
Dr. JacQuene Rainey, president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, is our guest this morning. Dr. Rainey, before we go to our timeout, something I want to kind of say to preview this next segment. A lot of people say college is not for everyone, which is true, but I think additional training and learning is for everyone. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where TCAT Jackson provides that perfect mesh of education and work experience. Am I correct in saying that?
And I will also add to that, I do hear people say that, college is not for everyone. And sometimes I hear them say, well, if you don't want to go to college, you can go to a TCAT. But I also say we are the Tennessee College of Applied Technology. So we consider ourselves to be a college, and it's of that applied technology, technical education. there's a place for everyone. I do understand what's behind that statement when people say college is not for everyone. When you think about traditional education, getting your associate's or your bachelor's degree and the work that goes into that, the different types of careers that require, those degrees. And, we do have students that have had challenges and, certain degrees or certain educational paths did not fit for them. And I think that there is a place for everyone, especially, if, hey, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I am really good with my hands and I really like fixing things and I really like computers. That's where technical education can come into play because we have so many programs that students can choose from what works for them.
We're going to talk about those programs at TCAT Jackson after this timeout. You're listening to For the District. This morning, our guest is Dr. JacQuene Rainey, president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson. You're listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools on JJ 97.7 FM. Did you know Liberty Technology High School is home to one of the state's top career and technical education facilities? Here, let me show you. At Liberty Tech, students are gaining knowledge and experiences in programs like horticulture science. Through work in an on-campus greenhouse, students are preparing for careers in landscaping and greenhouse management. At Liberty and throughout the Jackson-Madison County school system, students are taking on challenges that prepare them for the opportunities of tomorrow. Welcome back to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson-Madison County Schools. I'm Greg Hammond, Chief of Public Information, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. JacQuene Rainey. She's president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson and a proud member of Leadership Jackson Class of 2025 and JCM Class of 1990. So there you go, Cougars. There's your shout out. I did it. There you go. Dr. Rainey, on a serious note, when folks think about TCAT, and technical education, it is still a new conversation for a lot of families. Having gone through Jackson State, I know about Jackson State, I know about community college, and I think a lot of people, even if they didn't go to college, know about community college or four-year college. Everyone probably knows someone who's attended Lane College or Union University. The Tennessee College of Applied Technology is still a new conversation for some folks. So take us behind the curtain a little bit. What do you all do at TCAT Jackson?
Okay, so first of all, there are 24 TCATs across the state of Tennessee. And typically they range from maybe 2 months to 20 months. I think our longest program is 28 months. That's our tool and die program. Okay. And so we offer 27 technical programs. And
here in Jackson.
And TCAT Jackson also, in addition to its main campus, we have 4 extension campuses as well as 5 instructional service centers. Okay. So our service delivery area starts from Fayette County to Haywood County, all the way to Henderson County, Gibson County. And so at those locations, some campuses may not have as many. They may have like 7 or 8 programs. We have instructional service centers that may have 2 programs. And so at our main campus, we have several programs that range from automotive all the way to welding technology. We are a clock hour institution. And so that means that each of our programs are a certain length of time. So our welding program is 1,296 clock hours. So that's really a 1-year program. Okay. We operate in trimesters. Okay, so the welding program would be 3 trimesters. So it's 4 months in each trimester. Gotcha. And so technical education, TCATs have been around for a very long time. They were established in 1965. TCAT Jackson was one of those first TCATs that was built in 1965. And so they were originally named the area VOTEC. Okay. Then the name changed to Tennessee Technology Centers. Okay. And so back in 2013, the name changed again to Tennessee Colleges of Applied Technology to kind of better present what we actually do. We are a college. We do provide education. And so the TCATs, we have a variety of programs. and we are located. Our main campus is located out by Jackson Regional Airport.
Okay. Now, Dr. Rainey, you said you all have 27 programs.
Yes.
The website is tcatjackson.edu.
Yes.
tcatjackson.edu. Now, I'm saying this because we're not going to talk about all 27 programs. I think my producer would probably cut us short and we'd run out of time. But I do know for no matter what college in Madison County, there are particular programs that are of community interest or regional interest in this era of those colleges. For TCAT Jackson, I know, just kind of looking over the statistics and talking to some folks, welding is really big at TCAT Jackson. Industrial maintenance is big at TCAT Jackson, and with the hub city being a hub for manufacturing, we can see why. And I'm also told nursing is one of the big programs at TCAT Jackson.
Yes.
If you can, let's talk about those 3 programs and why they're important or of interest to folks in our region right now.
So I will say, and something I didn't add when we were talking about, let's talk about what is TCAT and what's behind it. So part of our accreditation, we are accredited with the Council on Occupational Education. And part of that is meeting benchmarks for placement. And so one of the benefits of TCAT Jackson is being able to place students in jobs. Each of our programs have what we call advisory committees, and these are people who actually work in the community, in the industry, in that particular field, and they offer guidance to our instructors. They evaluate the program, they evaluate the equipment, they let us know if there's new equipment that we need to purchase for the program. They actually will donate equipment to our programs. And so
just to spell this out plainly for folks, what I'm hearing you say is not only does TCAT Jackson train students, but you also take steps to help these students find jobs.
Absolutely.
I think that's huge.
Yes, it is.
I would imagine that's one of the selling points for TCAT Jackson.
It is, and no debt. Typically, our students, because we don't participate in the student loan programs, and so our students can graduate debt-free. Those 3 programs in particular, the reason they're so huge, there's a need. We have so many industry partners here in this area, and so welding is always has a waiting list. Industrial maintenance, no matter which sector, no matter which manufacturing facility, there's always a need for those maintenance technicians. Practical nursing, there's a shortage of nurses. The governor, he awarded some rural healthcare expansion grants, and I'm proud to say that TCAT Jackson was one of those recipients of $2 million. And so we are implementing a brand new certified medical assistant to practical nursing bridge program. It'll be offered at our Brownsville campus, and it'll be an evening weekend program. We partnered with West Tennessee Healthcare to implement an evening weekend practical nursing program, as well as a central sterile program.
And I need to interject. When folks hear about these programs, or in general, when people think about college, they think about someone fresh out of high school. But am I correct in remembering that, again, you have a lot of non-traditional students, so no matter what someone's age might be out there, when they hear you discuss these programs, they need to see themselves in this opportunity. Am I correct?
Absolutely. There's opportunities. There's programs for everyone. We have, of course, our high school graduates. We have a very strong dual enrollment partnership. We're in 13 school districts, 19 high schools, and so there's always opportunities for those graduates to, enroll in post-secondary education. But then we also have individuals who maybe have been out of school for extensive period of time, and they may want to change careers, or maybe they got laid off at their jobs and they didn't have a credential, and now they're needing a credential. We have individuals who actually don't plan to go to work. Sometimes they just want to gain the knowledge for whatever reason. So there's always something that we have to offer to our students.
Dr. JacQuene Rainey is our guest on For the District this morning. She's the president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, and my Leadership Jackson classmate. We are
Yes.
very glad and honored to have her here this morning. Dr. Rainey, so we're going to talk a little bit more about TCAT when we get back, but then
Okay.
also getting back into your journey, just looking at your list of experience and how you've essentially climbed the ladder. I think I'd like to glean some advice from you, and I think it might be beneficial for other folks.
Okay.
You're listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson Madison County Schools on JJ 97.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Your school, your choice through open enrollment with Jackson Madison County Schools. Register for unique options like Community Montessori, Melissa STEM Innovation Center, and JCM Early College High. Visit jmcss.org before the upcoming deadline to apply. Welcome back to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson Madison County Schools. This morning, our guest is JCM graduate and president of the Tennessee College of Applied Technology Jackson, Dr. JacQuene Rainey. Dr. Rainey, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me here.
Getting back to some of your programs, we mentioned welding at TCAT Jackson. We mentioned industrial maintenance at TCAT Jackson. We mentioned nursing. There are people who may hear about these programs and others from your website and say, man, I like to apply, but I probably missed the deadline. When people think about college, hey, those rigid deadlines that are only at these 2 or 3 intervals of the year. Am I correct in saying that your TCAT Jackson is a little more flexible in that regard?
We are open enrollment.
Okay.
So aside from our practical nursing programs or other cohort programs, we are open enrollment and we can enroll up until the 3rd month of each trimester.
Okay.
And so
that's a lot of opportunity is what I'm hearing.
that is a lot of opportunity. So it's not just at the beginning of the trimester, the only day that you can enroll. Yeah. We take students and we can actually, help them with their applications. So if there's anyone that's interested, all they've got to do is either call or walk in. We'll help you right then and there. And that's what I love about our team. Everyone has a passion for what they do and a heart to help.
And remembering JJ 97 is heard all throughout West Tennessee. There may be people living in Gibson County or Hardeman County or Chester County. Just a reminder that there are TCATs not only throughout the state, but when you think about TCAT Jackson, throughout West Tennessee.
Yes, absolutely.
So the opportunity is there.
Yes.
Dr. Rainey, before we end our conversation, and again, reminding folks that TCAT Jackson, and these are my words, so just the more I study TCAT Jackson, and in this conversation, in this season we're in, whether it's an educational conversation or a political conversation, people like to say, college is not for everyone. But I think in everyone's story, some additional training or knowledge after high school is for everyone because it's that way to earn a higher wage or get that extra opportunity. And I think your story is a perfect example. And something I do want to ask, particularly having gone back to school to get an additional degree, and you hear about people going back to get their doctors, like, whew, why would you do that? But obviously, it's opened doors for you. At some point, well, actually, in different intervals of your story, you had to bet on yourself. So you mentioned attending Jackson State Community College. You mentioned attending Union University, and so the whole time you're doing this, you're also working to support a family. At some point, you decided you were going to go up the hill and obtain your doctorate. Talk about where that motivation might have come from, because I realize that's not a small accomplishment and it's not a small undertaking. The time involved, the money involved. What was the source of your desire to do it? And again, not a small accomplishment. Where did that come from? How do you pull that off?
Well, first and foremost, I'll say that, God is the head of my life and always leads and guides me. And any decisions that I've ever made, I've always had to pray about it to make sure, okay, am I really supposed to do this? Because, you know, sometimes you can get in your head and you can get stuck in your comfort zone and you can say, you know what, it's just easier for me to just stay right here. But for me, my motivation has always stemmed from a young age. You know, I grew up, we didn't have very much growing up. And, you know, I stated earlier, I was a teenage mother. And so you're told, well, you'll never amount to anything, or you need to drop out of high school and, you know, things like that. But I knew deep down inside that I did not want my son to ever feel the way that I felt growing up. And so I knew that I had to continue my education. And, you know, even, you know, at a young age, I was always studying. I always loved to read. And so knowledge has always been a part of my life, and a desire to learn and to gain more. And so the drive to want a better life and to be the best that I could, no matter what job I was in, you know, that motivated me. And I knew that continuing my education and earning my credentials was going to afford me more opportunities, because let's be honest, you know, we love the work that we do, but we are also wanting to earn a decent living, you know, so we can have a better quality of life. And so for me, it's not always been, oh, I just want to make as much money as I can, but it's always been, what can I do to give back? You know, I'm in this position. How can I reach others? You know, am I a good example for people? You know, I want young ladies to see that, you know, you don't have to be what somebody labels you. You know, if you want a better life, if you want those opportunities, if you want the education, and I'm not saying that it's always easy, because I don't want people to think that, oh, my path was just, oh, it was a piece of cake, because it wasn't. But your determination, you get to decide who you are and what you're going to be.
Say that again.
And not somebody else.
Okay.
You know, they can put a label on you, but you don't have to own it. And so that's where my drive comes from. And that's how, you know, and I was fortunate and blessed to have companies that paid for me to go back. You know, I think, and this is advice that I try to tell anyone: if you're working for an organization and they offer, you know, tuition reimbursement for you to continue your education, take advantage of that, you know, because that's an opportunity for you to invest in yourself, and your company is willing to invest in yourself. And so I've had that opportunity, and then working for the state, I've been able to go back to school to get my doctoral degree, because for me, that was that last credential, you know, to obtain. And, you know, I've been very, very fortunate. And so I just want to be a good example. I want to be a good role model, and I want to give back. I want to give back to my community. I want to give back to others. And, you know, hopefully that's what I'm able to do. I love being the president of TCAT Jackson. We have an amazing staff, and I couldn't do what I do without them, and it allows me the opportunities to do this. Any chance that I can talk about TCAT and what we do, I'm all for it. And so I really do appreciate the opportunity.
One question in closing. So during Leadership Jackson, we all had cope names or nicknames. Naturally, my name was Hammer. JacQuene, your name is Queen. It was just
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee.
It was Queen Bee.
And so it was funny because, you know, on day one it's Dr. Rainey, you know, Dr. Rainey, and then it was hey Queen Bee. I want to ask you about your name. It's such a beautiful and unique name. What's the story there?
So my grandmother and my mother, they were watching a movie. I don't know if it was a French movie. I don't know if it was an Italian movie, but they saw that name, you know, come across the, you know, the I guess the closing credits, and they was like, oh, that's unique. We're going to name her that. Now, I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Right. I heard it's supposed to be JacQuene.
Okay. But we're in the South.
You know, we're in the South. They're going to put their own twist to it. So, you know, and so that's where it came from. They saw a movie.
Awesome. Dr. JacQuene Rainey, President, Tennessee College of Applied Technology, Jackson, was our guest this morning. If you missed the first half of this conversation, we want to invite you to our YouTube channel. Just search JMCSS for the district. Also want to remind you, check out the programs at TCAT Jackson. Their website, tcatjackson.edu. tcatjackson.edu. Well, we told you that welding, industrial maintenance, and nursing were some of the more popular programs, but there are almost 30 programs of interest on their site. So again, Thank you to Dr. Rainey, and thank you to TCAT Jackson for the service they offer to our community. You've been listening to For the District. It's the podcast for Jackson Madison County Schools. Remember, you can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on your Amazon and your Apple podcast. Also, radio731.com. I'm Greg Hammond saying I hope you have an excellent Sunday, a great week, and we'll see you next time.